Yes, awesome. All right, my friends, let's do this. Today is a Lightways Live where we are discussing divine masculine and divine feminine energies. This is such an important topic because a lot of times, a lot of the turmoil that we face just in our daily day lives as well as our relationships can be solved if we are aware of what our dominant energetic frequency is and we keep a healthy balance between both because both are needed. Tony is in Mexico until Tuesday. All right. All right, guys. Well, since I burned up 6 minutes with the technical difficulties, let's jump. Let's jump right on in. So, all right. So if we're talking about divine masculine and divine feminine, just a couple of things we want to get out of the way right out of the gates. We all have both energetic frequencies, divine feminine and divine masculine, and it has nothing to do with gender. We use masculine and feminine to just describe two opposite ends of the energetic spectrum, but it doesn't have anything to do with gender. And it's really hard for our brains to detach, feminine from female and masculine from male, and just look at them as energy signatures, regardless of the gender. And that's really just programming. And the more that you practice not attaching a gender to that energy, the easier that it will become for you to conceptualize your own energy within you. So you may be male, but you may have trouble conceptualizing female energy. It doesn't mean gender. It just means that go within, get centered energy, which we're going to describe the differences between the two energies. So they're both necessary. There's nothing capricious in the universe. They both exist for a reason, and that reason is to complement one another to make a complete and healthy whole. So I always like to use the yin and yang symbol. You see those two in each other's energetic space, right? They kind of intertwine a little bit and they complement each other to complete the whole. The turmoil in our life starts when we're not in balance, meaning there's one energetic signature that is turned up way past where it needs to be, and it's in the other energetic signatures lane. And this is where a lot of chaos and turmoil can happen in your life, in your relationships, in your career. So we're going to go over all of that stuff. So those are just some of the initial disclaimers. It's not gender. We all have both, and they need to be balanced to keep turmoil out of your life. And an example that I want to give as far as what healthy divine masculine and divine energy looks like is the process of trusting your intuition. So if we break this down, in tuition, divine feminine, inward, divine feminine, trusting your intuition. Well, how do you trust your intuition? You act on it. You take action. Divine masculine, taking action, right? So intuition is divine feminine. Taking action on that intuition is divine masculine, and the two work together hand in hand. They complement one another. So this is an example of what a balanced life can look like if you're balancing both energetic signatures. Okay. Does that example resonate with you guys? Oh, hey, Joyce, thank you very much. Namaste, my friend. Sending light energy to Joyce. Joyce is getting some light energy from Lightways. Sending blessings your way, my friend. Thank you. Word up, people. Cool Azul. Nice. Katrina, Titan Ways. Yeah. Let me yell Titan Ways in the comments whenever he makes an appearance. Elaine Mulligan from Glasgow, Scotland. It always just it blows my mind how we're just connected all across the globe. It doesn't matter where. It's just an amazing thing. So thank you for showing up, my friend. Thank you for the support. Tony says you helped me learn how to balance my energies from a non-wounded perspective. Awesome. Thank you very much for helping me, David. Absolutely. And just for everyone, I want to dig into the wounded aspects, because when you're aware of the wounded aspects, you can balance those aspects of your energy, and then everything else falls into place. We got Light Tibago. I see you in my comments all the time. I don't know your actual names. I'm going to call you Light Tibago, and I appreciate you showing up, my friend. Thank you for being here. I'm trying to find my balance, stepping more into my femininity. We're going to talk about that, so you've come to the right place. Legata. Hi, Legata. Ames, thank you for sharing the quality content with us. You are dearly loved and appreciated. I love you guys. You know, as a light worker, it's always just such inspiring to get feedback that I'm actually helping, you know, and on my life path. So I appreciate you guys for the positive feedback. Okay, so let's dive in. We're going to start with what is divine masculine energy. So masculine energy, you want to kind of view it as that kind of like the fatherly energy, so protector energy, provider energy, game plan energy, strategist energy, rational, logical thinking energy, right brain. The right side of the body is the energetic house of the masculine. So in healthy balance, it's what we need in life. It allows us to go after what we want. It allows us to defend ourselves. It allows us to set our personal boundaries and defend those boundaries. It allows us to be assertive when we need to be assertive and speak up for ourselves when we need to speak up for ourselves. It gives us the confidence to go after what our heart desires. Oh, there's that compliment again, right? Our heart desires. The heart is the energetic house of the divine feminine. So this is how we use the divine masculine to step into the divine feminine to go after what we want, because we're going after the desires of our heart. Divine masculine. Divine feminine. This is the desires of the heart. So divine masculine is a very needed energy within yourself, as I just mentioned, but also in a relationship. So if you're someone that whose natural ability or natural desire is not to want to protect or not to want to provide, you want to play more of a supportive role, then you're going to need a healthy divine masculine in your life to complement you and give you space to flourish in what you feel naturally doing. So this is why healthy divine masculine energy is needed. Of course, we're going to talk about wounded masculine energy as well. So, but you know, how can we? So, what are some of the benefits of the masculine energy in your life? So, if you're struggling with taking chances or taking that fork in the road, taking the red pill, as we discussed last week, if you struggle with the confidence and the courage to take that red pill and follow the dreams of your heart, then this is where dialing up that divine masculine energy can really benefit your life, because divine masculine energy is about taking calculated risks. So if you are hanging on to a dead-end job or hanging on to a dead-end relationship, and you can't go, you know, you're stuck, you're stymied in fear, this is where you dial up that divine masculine energy and you go down the road of your heart's desires. I always envision like the big male lion when I think of divine masculine energy. You know, if someone is stepping over your boundaries, someone is stepping over the boundaries of your value, your worth, you can envision that big male lion on top of that mountain roaring, and you stand up, you dial in that divine masculine energy, and you defend your boundaries, you defend your value, you defend your worth. This is divine masculine energy. And obviously, it comes in very handy and necessary in a relationship where you need to be that protector, protect your kids, protect your divine counterpart, be that provider that your family needs. So it's very necessary energy, and it complements the divine feminine as well. So, any questions about divine masculine energy? Did that resonate with you guys? Wow, we got all kinds of comments. Sorry if I'm not able to keep up with the comments, guys. Oh, Latasha. Oh, okay, that's your name. Awesome. Great meeting you, Latasha. I'm David. Welcome to Lightways. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the support. So Latasha has mastered her masculine energy. It's a big word, mastered. I like it. Now I need to find balance with the rest of my feminine. Defending your boundaries and values. Boom. Absolutely. 1,000%. All right, guys. So let's jump into the divine feminine. Divine feminine energy is so important. I don't think it's even possible to have a spiritual awakening or grow on your spiritual path and evolve on your spiritual path if you're not accentuating your divine feminine energy. This is because divine feminine energy is going within. You can't grow unless you go within. It's impossible. If you're externalizing everything, you're externalizing the good that happens, it's just happenstance, or or you're externalizing everything that bad that is happening, and you're not taking responsibility for your vibe, you can never grow. And those frequencies that you don't want to experience are going to keep showing up until you go within and heal that vibration that continues to attract that repeating thing that you don't want to experience. So divine feminine energy is present moment energy. It's go within energy. Divine masculine is outward energy. It's come up with a plan, go out and do energy. It's out into the future energy. Divine feminine energy is present. It's centered. It's also attractor, receptor energy. So for all of you manifestors out there that are having trouble manifesting and attracting what you want, you might be in the wrong energy. You might be sending out energy, as in what can I do instead of attract. So, and both are needed, because you're going to need to do a little bit of masculine energy to physically receive what you're attracting, but you got to get on the same wavelength with it first, and you get on the same wavelength with it with your heart, divine feminine. So, it's kind of an interesting thing, because a lot of spiritual teachers will tell you that the portal to the higher consciousness chakras is through the heart chakra. So the lower three chakras are more in alignment with survival, the 3D identity, that type of thing. But it's not until you get through the heart chakra, the energetic house of the divine feminine, that you get to the higher chakras of higher consciousness. So this is why I say you can't really evolve into higher consciousness or evolve on your spiritual timeline until you go within and you heal what is keeping you chained from ascending into higher consciousness. Usually what's keeping you chained is fear. That's what unhealed trauma is. It's fear in one way, shape, or the other. And that fear is keeping you from really breaking open that heart chakra. Love, the dominant frequency of source, is the gateway to higher consciousness, which is source. So this is why divine feminine energy is so important. And if we kind of look at less of an esoteric angle and look at more of a practical everyday life angle, if you're never going within, you never have peace. You know, if you're constantly in work mode, overworking, overanalyzing, overthinking, you never have peace because you're never in the present moment. Anxiety comes from your mind being off into the future, fear mongering about some future scenario. But your inner peace comes from within, being in the present moment. All of your power is in the present moment. The future doesn't exist, the past doesn't exist, only the present moment exists, which is where all your power is, which is why, again, divine feminine is so important to a spiritual path where you're trying to get some spiritual maturity and some emotional intelligence, emotions, feminine energy, where you have to get that divine feminine energy to get that emotional intelligence and spiritual growth. So, in other words, divine feminine energy sits with those emotions, sits with the painful emotions, the negative, quote unquote. I don't believe in negative emotions. All emotions are valid because all emotions have a particular medicine that you need, a particular lesson as to where your attention, feminine energy, needs to be so that you can heal. So, this is why divine feminine energy is so important to the healing journey. Healing is feminine energy. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing. I believe that a spiritual awakening just cracks open that divine feminine energy because it's spirit energy. Divine feminine is spirit. It's the esoteric. It's the non-physical, and that's really what a spiritual awakening is. You're waking up from the ego, more of the 3D, and stepping into higher consciousness, more of the esoteric and more of the spiritual. So, you know, if we really look at divine masculine and divine feminine energy, if the mind is the energetic house of divine masculine and the heart is the energetic house of divine feminine, isn't this really what every fork in the road is? Not only in life in general, but on a daily basis. It's always that delicate dance between the mind and the heart. Now, we don't want to say one is better than the other, one is good and one is bad. They both complement one another if they're in balance. Unfortunately, in Western society, there's a lot of wounded masculine energy, which we'll get into. So that's, you know, going to be overthinking, overanalyzing, overdoing, and the divine feminine energy doesn't have any room, doesn't have any space to complement the divine masculine because the wounded masculine energy is pressing it down so much. But if we're looking at divine masculine and divine feminine as the head and the heart, your balance comes between marrying those two. Again, it's kind of like the example that I use with acting on your intuition. That's the perfect example of a balanced divine masculine and divine feminine working together in unison. So if you look at a lot of the decisions, interactions, relationships that you come across in life, a lot of times it's going to be that balance or that delicate dance between the head and the heart. And you want to get them in balance so that they complement one another and you're not acting from a wounded place. Wounded means out of balance. You guys feeling that? I often struggle with guilt in the present moment because I feel guilty that I'm experiencing this beautiful experience solo. That's going to be more in the ego. That's more of the ego talking. Experiencing it solo is coming from a place of incompleteness. You're not feeling that you're enough on your own to experience this beauty. And it's very natural and healthy to want a divine counterpart to experience things with, but you don't want to have a feeling of incompleteness when you're experiencing a beautiful life. You're here to experience it all to the fullest. So you just want to have that sense of completeness. Hey, Susan, welcome, my friend. I'm here to share joy with everyone, not solo. It's definitely a delicate balance. It is confusing at times, yes. Well, whenever you're confused, that means there's a battle between the ego and the heart. And you bypass the ego by centering into your heart and feeling into what is your heart telling you. And the language of the heart is feeling. So when you feel into what that feeling actually means, that's where you get the answer, which is devoid of the ego's, fear mongering is typically what's going on with the ego. The ego tends to taint our information with fear. My head be like, no, no, no. Shut up, heart. Yeah, that happens with a lot of people. Which is why you got to center into the divine feminine and get that good centered present energy. I like that. All right, what else we got here? Okay, so now that we know divine masculine and divine feminine, it's very important to know which is your dominant frequency so that you'll know where you need to adjust within yourself and within your relationships. So, you can just do a little bit of self-discovery, introspection, find a place to be still and quiet, and ask some questions about what I just described are the traits of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So if you're a person that just naturally loves to take action, take charge, take risks, you like to be the protector, you like to be the provider, and that just feels like a very natural role for you, then your dominant frequency is most likely divine masculine. If you're someone that wants to be very nurturing, provide support, you're very much happy being in, your own present space. You want someone else to do most of the planning and the providing and the protecting. You want to do more of the nurturing and supporting. You want to be the compassionate, understanding one, and that's your natural role. You're not doing that in exchange for love. That's wounded. But that's just your natural frequency. Then your natural dominant frequency is divine feminine. Now, one thing I want to mention is it's very rare for your frequencies to be 50-50. One is typically more dominant than the other. This is why yin and yang is a squiggly line. It's not a 50-50 line, right? So the good thing about knowing what your dominant frequency is you're going to be able to know if you're off of your home frequency by looking at your actions and looking at what's being mirrored back to you, and also looking at your relationships. So if we said that masculine energy is protective and providing and taking action, then wounded masculine energy is going to be overdoing all of that. So wounded just means out of balance in one direction or the other. So wounded masculine energy is very prevalent in Western culture. Western culture is just programmed to grind, 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 hustle, grind your face off for your dreams, all of that stuff. Get rich or die trying, all of that stuff, right? All the Gary Vee stuff, which is very you're going to experience burnout if you don't know how to get centered and take a rest, take a break, give yourself credit, stop and smell the roses. You are going to get burned out. You're going to have health problems, just overworking and overanalyzing. Overanalyzing just produces so much anxiety. It's insane because the mind is off into the future trying to play out every scenario, and you don't even need to play out every scenario. What energy is your heart giving out. That's the scenario that's going to play out. So you've got to fix it here. You're trying to fix all of this stuff that hasn't happened or may not happen. You're trying to fix an effect without fixing the cause. The cause is the frequency that you're putting out. And that's where you got to dial back that divine masculine energy and get into the divine feminine to correct your frequency of what you're going to attract. So, yeah, wounded masculine energy. Oh boy, yeah, there's a lot of that. So, wounded masculine energy is going to be over defensive, hyper vigilant for any potential threat, makes something a threat that is not a threat, over defensive, overreacting, oversensitive, and actually views the opposite frequency, divine feminine, as a threat. Which is why if you have something like that going on internally, then your divine feminine energy may feel threatened because your divine masculine is turned way up and views the divine feminine as a threat, and that divine feminine energy doesn't have space to express and flourish in a space of non-judgment. Basically, this can happen internally as well as in a relationship. So we're going to get into relationships here because this is a huge game changer if you understand this in your relationships. So the wounded masculine energy is very toxic because it's also judgmental. And if you don't have a space of non-judgment for yourself as well as your partner, there's going to be a lot of turmoil there. So, well, before I move on to the next one, anyone have any questions about that? Tony is 55-45, masculine dominant. She's got the exact percentages. I like it. It's hard for me to make decisions because I'm afraid how it will affect others instead of thinking of myself. Wounded feminine, that's our next topic. So stick around for the next topic. This is where I'm to Beatrice. Okay, you guys are talking amongst yourself. I like it. Light Fam has each other's back. The ability to connect, share, support. Yes, really appreciate you all. That's divine feminine. This is the least alone I've felt since 15. Awesome. Good. I feel like my masculine side is lacking. I'm always caring for others and not myself. Yeah. Yeah, so you would be more in your feminine energy. You kind of have to really sit with yourself and see what feels natural. And if you're coming from the perspective that caring for others and worrying about what they're doing is going to get you love in exchange, that's going to be more wounded instead of healthy. It has to, you have to naturally care about others and care about that feminine energy without believing you're going to get love in exchange for it. That's where the wounded part comes in. That was your question. It's hard for me to make decisions. Okay, so that's the same person. So yeah, so let's jump into wounded feminine because this is kind of the epitome of what wounded feminine is. It's hard to make decisions. Decisions are masculine energy because I'm afraid. So masculine energy is not afraid. Masculine energy is confident. How it will affect others instead of thinking of myself. Okay, so yeah, so wounded feminine shows up as a lack of self-confidence, self-worth, not feeling good enough, feeling that you're not seen. The problem with this is that this leads to taking actions that may not be self-honoring to get that attention or that validation or that love. So this could look like people pleasing, compromising your boundaries and your values in the hopes of receiving love in exchange, chasing validation. So, a lot of times with wounded female energy, you can feel stymied with fear, fear to face, or scared to face your fears, and fear to face the repressed shadow trauma, that scary trauma that needs to be healed so that you can step into healthy feminine energy and healthy masculine energy. So, wounded female, wounded feminine energy can look like stagnation because it's over non-action, right? So if masculine energy is taking action, feminine energy is non-action, and both are healthy in the right balance. But wounded feminine is over non-action. So this would be like, if you start a whole bunch of projects and never complete them, that's going to be wounded feminine, right? Because you're not taking the action to get those done. You're not following through. So it's an interesting thing what happens with your energy after having a spiritual awakening, because when you first have a spiritual awakening, remember we said that feminine energy is more of the esoteric, more spiritual, more going within. So now the pendulum is swung all the way from the 3D all the way to the other side, and there's going to be that little in between period where you find before you find your balance, where the pendulum kind of finds the happy medium there. So when you first have a spiritual awakening, your divine feminine may be turned way up, which is natural right after a spiritual awakening. So you decide you're going to try this and try that and do this and that and this and this, but then you don't follow through with any of that because there's so much non-action that is turned up in your frequency that you're not completing any of your tasks. And then you end up losing confidence in your ability to complete anything. And then that perpetuates that wounded feminine energy. And then you kind of stay stagnant where you are, scared to act. So that's what wounded female energy, feminine energy looks like, until that pendulum starts to kind of come back, because you're going to be very uncomfortable like that, which is usually going to force you to do shadow work, and then the shadow work is going to heal lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, lack of not feeling good enough, which is going to naturally make space for the masculine energy to step onto your timeline where you do complete those projects and go after what you want. Does that answer your all's questions on wounded feminine energy? Oh wow, I just learned something new. My divine feminine energy was always healthy. It's my divine masculine that used to be wounded. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, self-reflection, self-discovery is the way to really grow. Missy says, ouch, bam. Beatrice says, accurate. Welcome, Beatrice. Haven't seen you in the chats yet. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming by. Oh my God, love UX. Having difficulty communicating. That might be a throat chakra thing. Are you meditating and opening up your chakras? Yes, need to get on it and graft. Work, and more work. Don't do work, more work. That's wounded masculine. Oh. All right, guys. So let's see here. What other bullet point do I need to touch here? Common examples of what a relationship with wounded energy looks like. All right. So here's a couple of dynamics that you guys want to kind of take a look at. The first is going to be, you may be sharing the same space with your own dominant frequency, and you may not know it. You may not know it for example, so let's look at wounded masculine. Your dominant frequency may be wounded feminine, but if your masculine is turned way up, it's wounded, you may be in the space of your divine counterpart, of your partner, and that person's dominant frequency is not able to come onto the scene and flourish. So you may not know what that person's dominant frequency is. So let's say that you are divine feminine, but your masculine energy is turned way up, and you may not realize that your partner is also divine feminine because you're in their lane. You're not allowing them to naturally express and flourish as their dominant frequency. Your masculine energy is turned up so high, you're doing all of the providing, planning, protecting, strategizing, game planning. You're very much in control. As a matter of fact, wounded masculine is controlling. It's over controlling, right? It's almost suffocating. And then what ends up happening is if you do the work and heal what caused that wounded masculine energy in the first place, that wounded masculine energy subsides, and now your more dominant natural frequency comes onto your current timeline. Now all of a sudden you realize you're actually divine feminine. You don't want to do most of the planning and the providing and the game planning and the protecting and all of that. However, your partner is also divine feminine. So nobody's doing the planning, strategizing, but you don't know, you wouldn't have known that because when you first met them, your masculine energy was turned up so high that you didn't really give that person a chance to show you who they actually are. So this has a lot to do with trauma bonding. Wounded masculine energy comes from unhealed trauma. And so you're bonding through this person, controlling them and just, because you've got wounded masculine energy. But then when you do the healing, you clearly see that you guys have the same energy signature. That's going to be tough to work because only half of the energy is there, which means for the other half of the energy to come onto that scene in that relationship, somebody's going to have wounded energy because there's no one that's doing the divine masculine's role. So doing the healing always is a game changer. It's always so insightful. And where does wounded masculine energy come from? Typically in childhood. So at a very early age, maybe you had an absentee parent or parents, or a parent fell ill, and you at a very early age had to step up and be the provider and the protector and the planner. And the ego, in charge of survival, said, oh, all of those traits are good for survival. And so you grew up with that wounded masculine energy because the ego believed that that's what's necessary for survival. And then you carry that into all of your relationships. And, I can tell you as a divine masculine, if you have wounded masculine energy, it's going to be real hard to share the same space with a healthy divine masculine, because a healthy divine masculine is not going to allow wounded masculine energy in his space. Absolutely not. Like I am allergic to wounded masculine energy. You'll get out of my space quick. I promise you that. So you may be repelling your divine counterpart because you're in that person's lane, essentially. So now another example, I had two examples for relationships here. Okay, so you're sharing the same space with the same one, or you're in your partner's. Okay, yeah. So this is what I wanted to say. I get off track, so I have to make little notes here. Going back to being in your partner's lane, meaning you're in their dominant frequency, and it may not even be your dominant frequency, but you have it turned up in their lane. The problem with that is your partner may have resentment for you. because they're not allowed to express their natural dominant frequency. You might be bullying them in their lane, right? So resentment is not good. Resentment is trapped energy. Energy loves to move, and trapped energy will manifest itself in ways that you don't want it to manifest, very chaotic and destructive ways. And in relationships, this is where a myriad of addictions come into play, infidelity, just growing apart. You can't figure out why you're growing apart. So this is why healing that wounded energy can save a relationship, because when you heal that energy, you get out of your person's lane, right? And what I, the best way to kind of see if you're in your partner's lane is to just have a very open, communicative conversation, right? You've got this, you want to provide a space of non-judgment and just ask, hey, am I in your lane? Do you want to do the providing? Do you want to do the planning? Do you want to do the protecting and all of that stuff? Do you want me to play more of a nurturing, supportive role? If that's what you're really wanting, if that's your dominant frequency. And you really want to reiterate a space of non-judgment. Because if you have wounded masculine energy, all your counterpart, your person, all that person knows is over defensive, overreacting, hypervigilant for any threat, making a threat out of something that's not a threat, blowing things out of proportions, making a mountain out of a molehill. And so when you come to them and you're wanting to have an open, honest conversation, if that's all they've ever known from you, they may not believe that you're actually being honest, because honesty in the past has been rewarded with, over defensiveness and then, vindictive behavior and that type of stuff. That's very wounded masculine energy. So, just reiterate that space of non-judgment and have that open conversation. And the interesting thing, plot twist, you might find out that this person wants to do all of the things that you really don't want to do. Why don't you want to do them? Well, because that's probably not your dominant signature, but you have it turned up so high that you've just gotten used to that. But you may actually want someone else to do the planning and the providing, or maybe it's the other side. Maybe you want someone else to do the nurturing and the supporting. So provide a safe space, have an open conversation, and heal the trauma that has that energy in a wounded, out of balance place. You guys have any questions about that? Music is my best medicine. Yep. Love this background. Thank you. You like my little hot coffee thing there? Oh, it's this side. It's always backwards the way I see it on the camera, so I guess it's this way. There we go. My Hogwarts coffee is over on the counter, but I don't need any more, so I've had more than enough caffeine. Yes, trauma bonding. When the other is controlling, what energy am I in then? When the other is controlling, if the other one is over controlling, well, someone shouldn't be controlling you in the first place. So that's probably wounded masculine that the other person is in. And if you're not stepping up for yourself and asserting your boundaries about being controlled, then you need to turn up your masculine energy and defend your boundaries for sure. Yes, resentment is not good. I understand. Totally explains my DM does certain things. So interesting. Yep. Communication is the foundation. Absolutely. Yes, I understand non-judgmental attitude. I agree. Absolutely. Harms. Oh, Gabriella, that's right. Says my story. There you go. So I hope you're learning something from this, Gabriella. Just turn up whichever energy frequency you need. I feel so... I so feel when I'm stagnating. Doesn't feel good. Yeah. Stagnation is frustration because really it's trapped energy. It's trapped potential that is being held back by fear. Fear is the barrier to expression. So stagnation is fear stopping expression, stopping potential, stopping movement. Energy loves to move. Yeah. Dial up your divine masculine, and you'll take action. Alrighty. What else are we hitting here? All right. So let's get into how to activate. So I'm going to talk about how to activate the divine feminine energy and how to activate the divine masculine. So as far as how to activate divine feminine, you heal wounded masculine energy by healing the childhood trauma that caused it. So once that trauma that made you believe that you need to overwork or overprotect or overplan or overthink is healed, you're going to naturally make space for that divine feminine energy in your energetic signature. That divine feminine energy is so necessary, guys, because you're not going to be able to get still and go within. If you're on a spiritual journey, I can't overstate how important it is to get still and to go within. Even if we look at it from a practical standpoint, if you just want to look at it from the 3D, if you're constantly working, but you're never stopping to smell the roses and you're never getting centered, you're just going to burn out, get stressed, start a drinking habit. I don't know, that chaotic energy is going to manifest in a way that you don't want it to manifest. So anxiety is out of balance masculine energy, off into the future, over analyzing, overthinking, and fear mongering, basically. So divine feminine is the antidote. So heal the childhood trauma that may have caused wounded masculine energy. This is where shadow work comes into play. Now, the other thing that you want to do is heal your inner child. So the inner child has to do with safety. So wounded masculine energy is feeling the need to be over protected, over defensive. Why would you feel that need? Well, you don't feel safe. So if you don't feel safe, this is where inner child work comes in. And again, inner child issues may have come from childhood trauma, which is where shadow work comes in. But one of the things that you can do for inner child work is heal the root chakra. So there's a lot of guided meditations on YouTube for grounding, balancing, and strengthening the root chakra. So definitely look into inner child work, especially if you have any issues with just feeling safe in general. Even if you're not wanting to really focus on which energy frequency you're trying to heal, if you just heal the inner child, then wounded masculine energy is going to take care of itself and it's going to subside. So another thing that you can do to activate the divine feminine is to open your heart chakra. So I discussed earlier how the lower three chakras have to do with safety, survival, identity, and then the heart chakra is the gateway to the higher consciousness. So your heart is the energetic house of the divine feminine. And a lot of times when I tell people to go within or do the inner work, it's the question is always, well, where is that? How do I do that? Where do I start? Start with your heart. When I say go within, I mean go in your heart. That's the energetic house of the divine feminine. Your heart is where your higher self, source, spirit guides will typically connect with you. That's your radio to the unseen, your radio to spirit. So when you have an open and active heart chakra, you're in alignment with the dominant frequency of source, which is love, and you're in alignment with your higher self, and you're in the present moment. And you're able to hit points of higher consciousness. What is higher consciousness? Well, less in alignment with ego, right? The ego is the one that believes in, scarcity, lack, competition. And if those are the pillars of your belief system, then you believe you need to do those wounded feminine, wounded masculine traits to get and to be safe and to do and to this and that. But when you reach higher consciousness is attractor energy. This is what I mentioned earlier. So, you're stepping into the divine feminine, which is attractor energy, receiving energy. You'll need to use some masculine energy to, take hold of the physical that you're attracting, but you're stepping into that receiver retractor energy. So open your heart chakra. Again, YouTube is great for guided meditations on opening the heart chakra. And so, you can also make the intention that you want to open your heart chakra in meditation. All of this stuff you do in meditation. Meditation is so important, guys, because what is meditation? Going within. What is going within? Divine feminine, right? So when you go within and you focus on your chakras and the inner child and the shadow work and all of that, your divine feminine naturally comes onto the scene. Now, if we said that divine masculine is taking control and taking action and strategizing and planning, then how do we heal that wounded masculine? How do we accentuate healthy divine feminine? Gives the divine feminine some space. So how this would look practically, instead of the esoteric, practically, try not taking action. Try not over controlling. Try not over analyzing, and see what happens. You guys always laugh when I say, but did you die? Did you die though? Right? So do the same thing with this. Try not acting and see if you die, right? Try not over controlling, try not being, so on top of somebody, and just see if you die. See what non-action looks like in your life. Just try not taking action and see what happens. So when you practice non-action, you're physically demonstrating to the wounded masculine energy that there's no threat. There's no need to control. There's no need to overanalyze. It's not a survival situation if you don't over, defend. And then that wounded masculine energy can naturally calm down and make room for the divine feminine energy to get you centered in the present moment. And that's where you're going to find your peace, your clarity, and your power. So we've got the esoteric side, go within, open the heart chakra, do the inner child work. But then on the practical side, the action side, don't take action. Don't control, don't overanalyze, and just see what happens. And then the wounded masculine gets the message that, hey, there's no threat. I can calm down. And now the divine feminine has room to step onto the scene, and then there's that balance which gives you peace. So that is activating the divine feminine. Any questions on that, guys? Katrina says, did you die though? But did you die? I love that phrase. Thanks, David. No control. I didn't realize how tight my lower energies were until I started meditating. Explains the hernia. Yeah, guys, you got to really understand that your energy body is intertwined with your physical body. They're not two separate things, they're intertwined. So when you have energetic blockages, they manifest as physical ailments, dis-ease. There's a lot of ways that blocked or trapped energy is going to manifest in the physical body. So make sure that you're not holding resentment. This is why I love Ho'oponopono so much. You guys hear me talk about this. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I can feel all of your vibes in the chat right now, raising right now as I'm Ho'oponoponoing you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. If your vibe is instantly raising right now, put a hell yeah in the chat. Let's see it. But seriously, guys, that Ho'oponopono is the frequency of love, gratitude and release. What is forgiveness? Release. Energy hates to be trapped. Resentment is trapped energy. Don't hold trapped energy. Release it. Even if you don't feel that you were the one in the wrong, you're not apologizing for the other's behavior. You're just releasing responsibility of holding that energy. And then there's no trapped energy. Energy moves and flows, and you're good. You're not weighed down by trapped energy. Got a hell yeah from Gabriella. Hell yeah from Katrina. Love it. Thanks, David, for explaining this to me. Absolutely, Beatrice. You're very welcome. Yes, explain the inner work. Yeah, sing it to your heart. Sing it to the heart space. And how you do that, guys, because there's also some confusion around that. Take a deep breath. What does the breath do? The breath centers you into the present moment. Where is the mind? The mind is not out there. The mind is focusing on these breaths. Right? Close your eyes while you're doing it. Right? And now you bring your conscious awareness to your heart space. Feel your heart. See through your heart space. Your perception is in your heart. Right? And I even like to put my hand on my heart. So that palpable feeling right here allows me to keep my conscious awareness here. Well, where am I not? In my ego. That's when I say do the inner work or sink into your heart, you're bypassing the ego's fear-mongering by going straight to source, going straight to the higher self, going straight to spirit. And that's where you find your peace. Your anxiety is thinking of the future, but you get centered into the present and anxiety goes away. Very good info for today. Thank you so much. So glad it helped, Susan. We got one more. Good Lord, that hour goes fast. I mean, it just, guys, the funny thing is, before I started doing the lives, I'm like, I don't know if I can speak on something for an hour. Well, actually, the struggle is to keep it at an hour. But I'm going to hit one last point here, and I think it's how to activate the divine masculine. Yes, it is. Okay. So, how to activate the divine masculine. So we said divine masculine is what? Taking action. It's outward energy. It's formulating a plan. It's taking calculated risks. It's protector. It's provider. Well, the way that you activate it is take action. Do something. Even if you're not 100% ready. And this is one of the keys to success. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Your greatest version is not in your comfort zone if you're not living your greatest version now. That greatest version is in a different comfort zone, a higher comfort zone, which you now feel is uncomfortable. But the more time that you spend in that higher comfort zone, that new higher comfort zone becomes the norm, right? So take action. One of the people in the chat was feeling kind of stymied and stagnant and afraid to act. Take action. This is how you kind of counter what you're experiencing. Do the opposite action, essentially. And so if you have, maybe wounded feminine and you're not setting boundaries, set boundaries. If you have wounded feminine and you're not speaking up for yourself when you should, you're not being assertive when you should, speak up for yourself. Be assertive. Protect your value. Defend your boundaries. Take a calculated risk. These are all in alignment with healthy divine masculine energy, which you need to preserve your sovereignty. This is what the spiritual path is all about, spiritual sovereignty. We don't seek outside validation. We don't seek outside approval. We don't care about the opinions of others. We don't people please. We don't do transactional love. Well, if I do this, then they'll love me. Or if I do that, then they'll love me. And then you expect, something back, and then you don't get it, and then you're heartbroken. Love doesn't work that way. Love is not transactional. It's not a business transaction, guys. So this is wounded energy. So if that's your energy, take the opposite route. Don't seek validation. Don't seek approval. Don't people please, and see if you die. If you don't die, that wounded masculine energy can calm down, and then you step into healthy, balanced energy. So if you're struggling with wounded feminine energy, just take some masculine energetic steps, even if they're baby steps, to demonstrate to yourself that there's nothing to be afraid of. All right, the next thing on how to activate your divine masculine energy is the same with how to activate your divine feminine. Heal your shadow work, guys. So how to activate the divine masculine. If there's feelings of inadequacy from childhood that is stopping you from acting, stopping you from feeling that you're worthy of receiving something good, making you believe that you're not good enough to have a good life or to have all the things that you want in life, then you need to heal that childhood trauma that is putting those falsehoods and that self-sabotage in your mental chatter, so that masculine energy has room to step up and take action. But you only have so much space in your energetic field. And if you have a whole bunch of wounded feminine that is hogging up all of your space with a bunch of fear of action, then as soon as you heal that unworthiness, that low self-esteem, that low self-confidence, that wounded feminine is going to naturally subside, so that the divine masculine can step on the scene and your self-confidence goes up. You go after what you want. You defend those boundaries. You're assertive. You speak up for yourself. You speak your authentic truth. We are here to speak our authentic truth, guys. That's the point of incarnation. All right. Another way to activate your divine masculine is through affirmations. Now, some of you that are my clients, you guys know that I love affirmations. I teach you how to meditate. You hit that subconscious state, the theta brainwave state, and then you have access to your subconscious. The heart is the energetic house of the subconscious. It's your subconscious identity that connects to the quantum field and latches on to the timeline that is a vibrational match to your subconscious identity and your subconscious beliefs. So when you have that access to your subconscious in meditation, I cannot overstate the importance of meditation, guys. you can come up with some affirmations. I give thanks that I always take the right action. I am a warrior. I am confident. I know when to take a calculated risk. I am not afraid. I am a master of self-discipline. So these are the type of affirmations that you can accentuate to, or say in your meditations, to accentuate that divine masculine energy. I am a lion. I am a dragon, whatever it is. And then when that's in your subconscious identity, your behavior changes. Your subconscious identity changes your behavior. What is that change behavior? Well, now you're taking action. Now you're moving forward. Now you're stepping up and going after what you want. You're speaking up for yourself when you know you need to. You're being assertive when you know that you need to. So other things to accentuate the divine masculine: take calculated risks. A lot of you guys sit on the sidelines with fear. Take a calculated risk. That's divine masculine energy. The image that's coming to mind right now is that the tarot card. I think it's the Chariot. That's what it is. Yeah, the Chariot. So right, he's going out to battle. He's got the two horses. So that's kind of what I think of when I say take a calculated risk, the Chariot card. So taking a calculated risk is a very masculine, divine masculine trait. You're not taking any risk, you're taking a calculated risk, which means if you've done the calculations, then trust yourself and act. There's nothing worse than doing the calculations and seeing that everything is right and it's going to work, and then you don't act. So that's wounded feminine. Don't do that. But dial back that wounded feminine, get that divine masculine, envision that male lion roaring at the top of the rock there, and take action on that calculated risk. What was the point of doing the research if you don't act on it, right? So if you've done the research and you know it's okay to act, go ahead and act. Remember, masculine energy is that planner, strategist energy. So you've done the calculations. Trust yourself and move forward. Stand up for yourself and set boundaries. We said that. So that's very much masculine energy. And that's the opposite of wounded feminine energy, right? Oftentimes you're compromising your value and your worth in exchange for your perception of love, not realizing you are love, right? So there's the disconnect right there. You don't need to get it from the outside. That's your spiritual DNA, because the dominant frequency of source is love. But you have a disconnect internally. So you step over, so you give away your worth, you give away your value in exchange for your concept of external love. Don't do that. That's wounded feminine. But when you stand up for your worth, you speak your truth, you set your boundaries, you are displaying divine masculine. And what does that do? It proves to you on a physical level that there's nothing to be afraid of. You are worthy. And, when you speak your authentic truth, the world adjusts to you. It's not like, oh, well, if I do that, then I'm not going to get love. Or if I do that, then, I'm going to be off-putting to people. No, when you speak your authentic truth and the world adjusts to you. So the only ones that get pissed off when you set boundaries are the ones that were taking advantage of those boundaries in the first place. So you don't want them in your life anyway. So set those boundaries and get the moochers out. Another way to activate divine masculine is go after what you want. So again, this is an action-based type of thing where you've got the confidence in yourself to go after what you want. And as you see, that balance between the two, what you want is in here. That's divine feminine. What you want is in your heart. But you got to do the divine masculine to go out and get it. So in other words, you've got the attractor energy. You're attracting what you want. You're attracting the desires of your heart. And then you turn up that divine masculine to go out and confidently get it. And that's what a beautiful dance between the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine look like. That's what a healthy dance between the head and the heart looks like. Then it's kind of like you're on that moving sidewalk at the airport, right? You just it's almost like you're moonwalking it forward, though, So those are the benefits of balanced energy. And that is all that I have for today, guys. I'm getting some hell yeahs. Love it. Yes, exactly, David. Still alive. Yep. We're a lot stronger than we think we are, guys. Don't let the ego self-sabotage and tell you, how weak you are. You're not good enough, blah, 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 all that nonsense. Put the ego at the kiddie table. Put him in the put the ego in the baby seat in the back, and take back the wheel and stop the nonsense. Step up and go after what you want, because you're indestructible. You really are indestructible. You can't die. Your source having a physical experience. What in the heck is going to happen, right? Wow, I just had another friggin' epiphany. Thank you, David. This is one of my favorite live lessons. So validating. Awesome, Tony. I'm so glad it helped, my friend. Let's see. I am a dragon. I love it. Oh, a dragon unicorn. I don't think I've seen one of those. Dragon and a unicorn? That's awesome. Let's see here. I feel like I've moved or jumped back onto my original timeline since I started doing this. Cosmically cautious. Still more to learn and to go. I know what you mean, though. I couldn't pronounce what you spelled there, but I think it's a combination between cosmically and consciously. Is that what we're doing there? I like that word. Kind of like when we combine understanding, understanding. I like when we make up spiritual words. Damn, I'm dancing something fierce. Awesome. Yeah, that's expression. Energy loves to be expressed. This is what I love about light language. It can express itself in so many different ways. Dancing, language, hand movements, whatever. Energy loves to be expressed. Thank you for explaining DM and DF energies. Absolutely. Another amazing live. Thank you. Ho'oponopono prayer. Much love to everyone. Have a great weekend and holiday. Thank you for stopping by, Latasha. Appreciate you. Is this why male appears more feminine? I'm sure this is the last time I experienced this externally. Why males appear more feminine? It just depends. So divine feminine can either be their natural frequency, or they have wounded feminine energy. But I'm not quite sure in what context you mean. Susan says this makes so much sense. Yes, trauma bonding when the other is controlling. What energy am I in? Oh, I answered that one. Okay, so I must have hit the ones. Okay, so I think I'm caught up on the comments, I think. If I missed your comment, I'm sorry, guys. Awesome. Appreciate you so much. Another amazing live. Feeling so energized right now. Awesome. Feels like connection has been reconnected. Feels good, natural. Can continue to heal and pass the good to my kids and others for passion and purpose. Shout that from the rooftops, because when you are really shining your light and stepping into just that divine sweet spot, it spreads to everyone in your life, and you're a much better mom, and whatever your relationship is to anyone else in your life just goes to such a higher level, because light spreads, right? Light is not like this. Light spreads. Light loves to spread, right? So when you are that light in the darkness, you light up everyone around you. So that's why this type of work is so important. Love this live. We can express ourselves. Absolutely. Timestamp 12:13. I have to go back and check the 12:13. So on that note, actually, YouTube actually doesn't let me timestamp it until 24 hours after it posts. I guess it takes them that long to process it. So the timestamps usually show up about 24 hours after the live posts. Damn, we went way over. Okay. All right, guys. So we are way over our hour there. I love all of you guys. Thank you so much for showing up. I love these lives. And just to let you know, I've reached out to about 6 or 7 people now to do a collab. So I would bring them on to the live for an interview. So these are people in the spiritual awakening space, right? And I think that they will be channels that kind of vibe with mine, and you guys will like quite a bit. Alrighty. All right, guys. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Light, love, and abundance to all that are watching and to all you love. I still have to work on my hand movements, guys. All right. I love all you guys.